Some women are anchors, others are storms in disguise. Can you spot the difference before your life becomes collateral damage? Beyond the perfect smile and captivating charm, what hidden traits reveal a woman who will drain your peace and confidence? Learn to protect your energy and power by identifying the subtle yet brutal signs of a low-value woman. Let's be direct and dispense with the pleasantries. It is a simple, unvarnished truth that not every woman you encounter deserves your precious time, your valuable energy, or your unwavering loyalty. Some women, through their actions and presence, have the capacity to genuinely uplift and empower you, helping you to build a better version of yourself. However, there are others, and these are the ones you must be wary of, who will subtly, silently, and often with a disarming smile, chip away at your well-being and ultimately tear you down. And perhaps the most insidious kind are those you don't anticipate. They certainly don't arrive with a conspicuous warning label or a flashing red light. Instead, they might be adorned with alluring perfume, captivating lipstick, and a seemingly perfect, inviting smile. These individuals can effortlessly walk into your life presenting themselves as a blessing, a positive force, only to eventually depart, leaving behind them a trail of destruction. Feeling very much like a curse, you might genuinely believe you are experiencing the joys of being in love, but in reality, you are being steadily and relentlessly drained. Drained of your focus and ambition, drained of your self-confidence and belief in yourself, and perhaps, most significantly, drained of your inner peace and tranquility. Let me state this with absolute clarity. A woman who embodies low value is not merely not the right one for you. She can, in fact, be genuinely detrimental and even dangerous to your emotional and mental well-being. So the critical question arises: how do you effectively spot these individuals? How can you implement measures to protect yourself and safeguard your life before it inadvertently transforms into a chaotic battlefield that you never agreed to enter? In this comprehensive guide, I will reveal the 6 undeniable and often brutal signs that serve as clear indicators, essentially screaming a warning for you to recognize the situation and get out now. This is crucial, because a man who truly understands his own worth does not squander his valuable power, time, and emotional resources on chaos that is cleverly disguised, however superficially, as beauty or excitement. Before we delve into the specifics of these critical signs, I encourage you to take a moment to show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing to the Stoic Spirit for more empowering content, and preparing yourself to absorb these vital lessons. Sign number 1. She thrives on drama and actively creates chaos. Some women seem to possess an inability to feel truly alive or engaged unless there is a palpable sense of tension or conflict in the atmosphere around them. If things are calm, peaceful, and stable, she may feel an inexplicable urge to intentionally stir up a storm solely for the purpose of feeling something, of feeling alive. This is often because for individuals like this, genuine peace and tranquility don't feel secure or comfortable. Instead, these states feel unsettlingly empty or boring. She might initiate arguments over the most trivial matters, skillfully twist your words to fit her narrative, or even falsely accuse you of things you never did or intended. She may deliberately pull away or disappear without offering any rational explanation, not because she is genuinely hurt or needs space, but primarily to observe and perhaps even enjoy the sight of you chasing after her, desperately seeking her attention or validation. And perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this behavior is that she often derives a sense of satisfaction or enjoyment from witnessing your distress or confusion. You may have heard lines similar to these before, often used to justify their behavior. I just like a little drama in my life. It keeps things exciting and prevents boredom. Or, if there's no fire or intensity, it's just boring. Or, the classic dismissive remark, nice guys are just too easy and predictable. Let's be clear, that is not the healthy intensity of passion or deep connection. That is a clear indication of underlying dysfunction and emotional immaturity. High-value woman, in stark contrast, consistently values calm over chaos, prioritizes clarity and open communication over confusion and ambiguity, and seeks genuine emotional connection over attempts at control or manipulation. However, a woman who is truly addicted to drama and thrives on emotional turmoil operates differently. She flourishes in an environment of emotional fog and uncertainty. She often desires to keep you confused, feeling unsteady, and constantly questioning yourself and your actions. You will likely find yourself perpetually walking on eggshells around her, carefully filtering every single word you speak, and doubting your every move, all in a desperate and exhausting attempt to prevent her from having an emotional outburst or snapping. That, unequivocally, is not the foundation of a healthy, loving relationship. That is a constant state of emotional survival. But here is a crucial piece of understanding that she likely doesn't anticipate. You are not obligated to participate in her destructive game. You possess the inherent power to choose to step away from the chaos she creates. And when you make that conscious decision to withdraw your energy and presence from her drama, she will likely react in one of two ways. She will either panic and begin to chase after you, or she will vanish from your life while simultaneously assigning blame for the situation to you. Either outcome, from your perspective, represents a victory, because true and lasting peace is not something you should ever have to fight tooth and nail for. It is a state you consciously choose by carefully selecting who you allow to remain in your life and influence your emotional landscape. Before we move on to the next critical sign, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit. If this message resonates with you, here's a question for your reflection. Have you ever personally dealt with someone who seemed to intentionally create chaos or stir up drama purely for the purpose of feeling a sense of control or power in the situation? Sign number 2. She is excessively addicted to seeking external validation. You could pour all of your love, your unwavering support, and your steadfast loyalty into a woman. You could praise her qualities and stand by her like an unshakable rock through thick and thin. However, for a woman whose sense of self-worth is predominantly derived from external attention and validation, it will tragically never feel like enough to her. This is because fundamentally, she doesn't genuinely need your deep love or committed partnership in the same way that others do. What she craves and desperately seeks is constant applause, admiration, and approval from a wide audience. You will begin to notice this not primarily through the words she speaks, but far more tellingly, through the behaviors and outward displays she exhibits. Social media platforms often become her primary stage, a curated performance for public consumption. Every picture she posts is meticulously calculated, every caption carefully crafted and designed to provoke curiosity, elicit compliments, or generate a flurry of reactions. Her online activity is not genuinely about authentically sharing moments from her life. It is primarily a relentless pursuit of external approval and affirmation. She might attempt to deflect your concerns or observations with seemingly innocent statements like, "I can't help it if other guys leave comments on my pictures. It's just a picture, you're overreacting and being insecure." But the underlying message she is truly conveying, consciously or unconsciously, is far more telling. I care more about receiving attention and validation from strangers than I do about honoring your feelings or respecting our connection. And that precisely is where the real and significant issue lies. She is not authentically seeking a deep, meaningful, and committed connection with you. Instead, she is perpetually performing for an unseen audience, maintaining one foot in your shared reality, while simultaneously keeping the other foot actively fishing for likes, hearts, comments, and attention from anyone and everyone who happens to be watching her online performance. And when you, understandably, express your concerns or question her behavior, she is likely to skillfully flip the script and shift the blame onto you. She might accuse you of being too jealous or too insecure. But I assure you, brother, that is often not the case. More often than not, you are simply being observant and paying attention to the red flags that are being presented. A high-value woman does not require the admiring gaze of the entire world to feel worthy. What she truly needs and values are the eyes and respect of the man she chooses to be with, the man she deeply respects in return. She doesn't measure her intrinsic worth based on the number of comments she receives or the volume of compliments she gathers. Instead, she measures her value in the strength and integrity of her character. So here is the undeniable truth you must confront. If she is in a constant and desperate chase for external validation from others, she will, by definition, never be able to fully appreciate and value what is genuinely real and meaningful in her life, and that, unfortunately, includes you and the potential for a genuine connection with you. And the longer you choose to remain in such a dynamic, the more invisible, unappreciated, and insignificant you are likely to feel within the relationship. Before we delve deeper into the remaining signs, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit if you find this information valuable. Here's a question for your consideration. Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that you were essentially dating her entire social media following in addition to her? Sign number 3. She demonstrates zero accountability for her actions. You will undoubtedly recognize this trait when you observe that somehow, every single problem, challenge, or negative situation that arises is never, ever her fault. She consistently makes poor choices and decisions, metaphorically starting a fire and then pouring gasoline on it, only to step back from the resulting blaze and conveniently blame the smoke and the damage on external factors or other people. She might justify infidelity by claiming you were emotionally distant. She might excuse blatant disrespect towards you by stating that you somehow made her mad. She might explain her financial struggles by blaming the economy, her difficult ex-partner, her upbringing, her parents, literally anyone and anything except herself. It is a seemingly never-ending, frustrating loop of deflection, avoidance, and denial. There is no genuine self-reflection, no willingness to grow from mistakes, and absolutely no acceptance of personal responsibility or accountability. Now here's the truly dangerous aspect of this behavior. You are highly likely to become her favorite and most convenient excuse for everything that goes wrong in her life. Every time something breaks or goes awry, she might immediately exclaim, "You dropped it," or imply that your actions were the cause. And tragically, you may find yourself beginning to question your own sanity and judgment. Perhaps you were indeed too distant. Maybe you did overreact to something minor. Could it just possibly be your fault after all? But I assure you, it is not. It is her fundamental refusal to honestly look in the mirror and acknowledge her own shortcomings and mistakes. A high-value woman operates from a place of integrity and maturity. She takes full ownership of her mistakes, learns valuable lessons from them, and consequently grows as an individual. She does not engage in the unproductive and harmful behavior of shifting blame onto others. She takes direct responsibility for her choices and their outcomes. However, a woman who embodies low value constructs her entire life narrative and her responses to challenges based on a foundation of excuses and denial. And if you choose to remain in a relationship with her, her self-serving narrative will, slowly but surely, become your reality. You will find yourself carrying the guilt for things you didn't do, bearing the emotional weight of her poor decisions, and ultimately shouldering the damage caused by her lack of accountability. Therefore, it is imperative that you do not allow this to happen. You cannot realistically heal or help someone who is unwilling or unable to even admit that they are wounded or have flaws. Sometimes the act of walking away from a dysfunctional situation is not an admission of defeat or quitting. It is a courageous act of choosing your own peace and well-being over enduring constant punishment and blame that you do not deserve. Before we continue with the remaining signs, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to The Stoic Spirit if you are finding value in these insights. Here's a question for your contemplation. Have you ever found yourself sincerely apologizing for something simply to diffuse tension or stop an argument, even when you knew in your conscience that you were not in the wrong and the argument wasn't initiated by you? Sign number 4. She skillfully uses emotional manipulation to control your behavior. There exists a particular type of woman who rarely, if ever, needs to raise her voice, resort to screaming, or engage in overt arguments to get what she desires. Instead, she achieves her objectives by subtly and effectively playing with your emotions, rather than appealing to your logic or reason. You will frequently find yourself experiencing feelings of guilt for things you genuinely did not do, for emotions that you did not cause, and for setting healthy boundaries that you had every inherent right to establish and maintain. Initially, this manipulation might be quite subtle and almost imperceptible. Perhaps she gives you the silent treatment after a minor disagreement, using her withdrawal as a passive-aggressive tool. She might appear visibly hurt or dejected when you make plans that do not include her. She might verbally say, "It's fine, really," but her body language and overall demeanor clearly scream a message of betrayal, disappointment, or resentment. You will inevitably begin to second-guess yourself, questioning if you were too harsh in your words, if you acted selfishly, or if you somehow did something fundamentally wrong. And that precisely is the insidious trap she sets. She doesn't make demands with clear and direct words. She manipulates your feelings through calculated silence, subtle sighs, and displays of sadness or vulnerability. It is not an open conflict that can be addressed directly. It is a pervasive emotional fog that disorients and controls you. As a result, you find yourself canceling perfectly legitimate plans, altering your natural behavior, and constantly walking on emotional eggshells in a desperate attempt to avoid that cold, unsettling shift in her energy or mood. And here is the critical realization that you may not initially grasp. Every single time you yield to this manipulation or give in to her emotional pressure, you are inadvertently reinforcing her manipulative control over you. You are effectively teaching her that guilt trips are an effective tool, that she doesn't need to articulate her needs or desires directly, only to withhold her affection or display sadness, and you will inevitably fold and concede. A high-value woman fundamentally does not engage in such manipulative games. If she is genuinely hurt by something, she will communicate that openly and honestly. If she has a need or requires something from you, she will express it directly and clearly. She builds strong and healthy connections based on clarity, open communication, and mutual respect, not on confusion, guilt, or manipulation. However, A woman who consistently uses guilt or emotional displays as leverage is not authentically seeking a partner in the true sense of the word. She is, in essence, looking for a puppet that she can control and manipulate. Here is a common and illustrative example. You inform her a week in advance that you will be spending time with your friends on a particular Saturday. She verbally responds, "Sure, have fun," sounding outwardly agreeable. However, when the actual day arrives, she becomes distant. Her mood visibly shifts, and she offers only monosyllabic responses. You might ask, "Is everything okay?" And she responds with a dismissive shrug, perhaps adding, "Yeah, go ahead and have fun. I'll just stay home alone, I guess." Suddenly, you are burdened with an overwhelming feeling of being a bad guy, as if you are abandoning her or causing her pain. You find yourself debating whether to cancel your plans, not because you genuinely want to, but solely to alleviate the uncomfortable feeling of guilt she has skillfully induced. If you recognize yourself in this scenario, it is imperative that you understand this crucial truth. That is not an expression of love or genuine hurt. That is emotional manipulation in a cunning disguise. And this destructive pattern will not cease unless and until you make a conscious and determined effort to stop it. You must cultivate the inner strength and resolve to be the man who does not yield under the pressure of silence or emotional withdrawal, who does not resort to begging for peace or emotional stability, but who actively creates it by walking courageously through discomfort with unwavering strength and conviction. Address the behavior calmly and directly. You could say something like, "If something is bothering you, I am open to discussing it openly and honestly, but I am not going to participate in guessing games or interpreting silent cues." And if she consistently refuses or is unable to communicate clearly and directly, then you must prioritize your own well-being and live your life according to your values and commitments anyway. A Stoic man consistently chooses clarity and directness over attempts at control through manipulation, and he chooses his personal freedom and integrity over succumbing to guilt trips. If this message resonates deeply with you, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit to receive more empowering content. Here's a question for your reflection. Have you ever experienced feeling guilty for something, even when your conscience was clear and you knew you had done nothing wrong? Sign number 5. She possesses no discernible long-term vision or direction for her life. A woman of high value typically thinks and plans with a long-term perspective, often considering her future in terms of decades rather than just days or weeks. She actively invests in her own personal growth, her financial stability, and thoughtfully considers the kind of man who genuinely shares her values and vision for the future. However, a woman who embodies low value often lives as if tomorrow holds no significance or possibility. She tends to be impulsive, constantly chasing fleeting highs and immediate gratification, actively avoiding discipline and structure, and seems almost allergic to establishing any form of long-term planning or routine in her life. Her idea of fulfillment is centered around temporary fun and excitement, rather than building a stable and secure foundation for her future. You will begin to notice this lack of foresight and planning in the seemingly small, everyday details of her life. She might never create a budget, yet consistently spends money impulsively and often beyond her means. She might constantly switch jobs or career paths, yet never seems to be genuinely building a sustainable career or working towards a specific professional goal. She might dismissively say, "I just go with the flow," but it becomes evident that her flow is leading nowhere purposeful or productive. She consistently blames external circumstances or other people for her lack of progress or challenges, perhaps stating, "My boss is toxic," "My ex ruined everything," or "The system is rigged against me," while conveniently avoiding any introspection or acknowledgement of her own role in her circumstances. The mirror in her narrative is never the issue. And here is the critical part that directly impacts you if you are involved with such an individual. If she demonstrates an inability or unwillingness to effectively lead or direct her own life with purpose and responsibility, she is highly unlikely to be able to build a meaningful or stable future with you. You may inadvertently find yourself becoming her primary plan, her backup option, or the financial cushion that absorbs the consequences of her chaotic and impulsive lifestyle. Initially, her spontaneity and lack of inhibition might seem exciting, adventurous, and even liberating. She might enthusiastically say yes to every suggestion: late-night clubbing, impulsive trips, last-minute weekend getaways, and initially it might feel like boundless freedom. However, this feeling is often temporary, lasting only until you realize she is drowning in accumulated debt, constantly complaining about her lack of money, but simultaneously mocking any suggestion of saving or financial responsibility. When you attempt to introduce the concept of responsibility or long-term planning, she might simply laugh it off with a dismissive attitude, perhaps saying, "Why worry? You only live once." But here is the fundamental truth that she fails to grasp. The fact that you only live once is precisely why you should strive to live wisely, purposefully, and with foresight. A woman who lacks direction and purpose in her own life will not serve as a supportive partner in helping you build your own aspirations and goals. Instead, she is more likely to slow down your progress, constantly question your direction, or, in a more detrimental scenario, become overly dependent on your stability and resources without contributing her own. Healthy and thriving relationships require alignment of values, shared purpose, and a mutual commitment to common goals. Because love that lacks a foundational structure and shared vision is highly susceptible to collapsing the moment life inevitably presents challenges and difficulties. The honest truth is, if she demonstrates a fear of commitment and responsibility within her own life choices, she will likely struggle to honor commitment and build a stable future within a relationship with you. Before we explore the final sign, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit if you are finding these insights valuable. Here's a question for your contemplation. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who seemed to fear personal responsibility and commitment, but simultaneously expected you to provide a sense of stability and security for them? Sign number 6. She doesn't genuinely respect masculinity. Instead, she competes with it. A woman who possesses a strong and healthy sense of self-worth inherently knows how to recognize, appreciate, and value the positive strength and qualities of a man. She doesn't perceive his confidence or competence as a threat to her own identity or independence. Instead, she views it as a grounding force, as a capacity for leadership, and as a source of protection and security within the partnership. However, some women are not genuinely seeking a balanced partnership. They are, consciously or unconsciously, looking for a power struggle dynamic within the relationship. Instead of supporting and complementing your masculinity, she actively competes with it, not with the intention of offering constructive input or support, but primarily to challenge your authority or decisions. She might argue simply for the sake of winning a point, constantly questioning your every move. And no matter how calmly or reasonably you attempt to lead or assert yourself, she pushes back even harder, creating constant friction. This behavior is often not rooted in a genuine desire for equality or mutual respect, but rather a deep-seated need to maintain control or dominance within the dynamic. You might state, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it, offering a sense of capability and support. Her response, however, might be a dismissive, "I don't need a man to do anything for me. I can handle it myself," turning your gesture of support into a perceived challenge to her independence. If you attempt to step up as a leader within the relationship, she might quickly label it as controlling behavior. If you establish necessary and healthy boundaries, you are suddenly accused of being toxic or unreasonable. In her eyes, your masculine energy and attempts at leadership are not welcomed or appreciated. They are perceived as a direct threat to her need for control. Now let's consider a deeper truth about this dynamic. A woman who behaves in this manner doesn't merely resist masculinity. In many cases, she harbors a deep-seated resentment towards it. This resentment could stem from past experiences filled with betrayal or hurt by men. Perhaps she grew up in an environment where she witnessed men abusing their power or roles. Or it's possible she has been taught, through negative experiences or societal messaging, that power is something that must be aggressively taken and held, rather than shared and balanced within a partnership. Regardless of the origin, the result is consistently the same. She will likely make it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for you to fully step into your role as a man within the relationship, because she is fundamentally afraid of what might happen if she is not the one in charge and in control. And the significant danger this presents to you is that you may inadvertently begin to diminish your own masculine energy and presence in a subconscious attempt to maintain peace and avoid conflict. You might find yourself softening your voice, doubting your own sound judgment, and constantly second-guessing your instincts, all in a misguided hope of not triggering her insecurity or need for control. However, a Stoic man understands a crucial distinction. Genuine masculinity is not inherently toxic or aggressive. True masculine strength, guided by Stoic principles, is disciplined, purposeful, and grounded. It brings a sense of structure and order to potential chaos, provides clear direction and stability amidst emotional fluctuations, and offers a feeling of safety and security in the face of the unknown or uncertain. You were not created to apologize for embodying healthy masculine qualities. You were made to lead with integrity, honor, and a clear sense of purpose. And the woman who is truly meant to be your partner, the one who is aligned with your values and spirit, will not perceive your strength as a threat to be fought against. Instead, she will recognize it, trust in it, and wholeheartedly support it. This is because a real, healthy, and thriving relationship is not a constant tug of war or a battle for dominance. It is a collaborative partnership where two individuals are consciously and willingly pulling in the same direction, working together towards shared goals and a common future. Therefore, if you consistently feel as though you are engaged in a silent battle within your relationship, if your natural masculine presence and energy feel like a problem or a source of conflict rather than a supportive pillar, it is time to be honest with yourself and with her. You do not need a rival or an adversary in a relationship. You need a true partner. If this message resonates deeply with you, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit for more insights that will help sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit. Here's a final question for your reflection. Have you ever felt compelled to diminish or shrink your own masculinity or authentic self, simply to make a woman feel more comfortable or secure in the relationship? And remember, the journey of self-improvement and understanding doesn't end here. Be sure to check out the full playlist for more valuable insights that will continue to sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and empower you on your path to becoming a higher value man. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, stay strong, Stay grounded in your values, and never, ever settle for anything less than a relationship that truly honors and supports your authentic self. To not miss out on daily Stoic inspiration and wisdom, please subscribe to the Daily Stoic Life channel, like this video, and turn on notifications right away. Thank you for being a part of our community.